What's going on, my Cardano friends? It's your friend Jack here. In today's video, I am joined by two members of Veggiemates, and we're going to be talking about all things vegetables, all things candy, and more. So let's get right into it. Who will be joined by today?
So my name is Brian Stivers. I go by B Stives, and I am the lead for the Veggiemates vs. Junkies.
My name is Paul Thomas. I go by Big PT, and I am Chief Blockchain Consultant for the Junkies vs. Veggiemates.
Okay. Well, I guess the most important question probably, or before we get to the most important question on what Veggiemates is, how did you guys get here? How did you guys get to be part of Veggiemates? You can start with...
Yeah, well, it started all with a story. You want to tell the story of how it began, Brian?
Yeah, so we've been pretty deep into the blockchain space, and Big PT actually owned a CryptoPunk pretty early on, and I think that's kind of what caught our eyes into NFTs. But we've been pretty big into Cardano as well. I just love the fact that it's proof of stake, that it's decentralized. I'm a fan of Charles as well. And we had a good friend. He's an artist, and we were kind of looking at the space. I was definitely a participant. I'm pretty deep into clays, and we were trying to come up with, okay, what's something that we could do that's different? What's something that we could do that's not being done today? And when we talked to our artists, one of the things that we hadn't seen in a lot of projects is different base layers. Because a lot of projects, what they'll do is they'll have kind of like the same exact base, and then they'll recolor it. We decided, let's make your life difficult, and let's go with different base layers. And so we actually have 13 different base layers on the Veggiemates. 10 of them are not recolors, so there's 3 recolors on there. And from an artistic standpoint, it's really hard to accomplish, because when you're doing generative art and you're generating an onion or you're generating a broccoli versus a banana, trying to align those traits on different shapes, different colors, and make it all work aesthetically was actually a really challenging thing to do. So that was like kind of first where we decided, okay, let's push the envelope a little bit. But ever since we began, we wanted this to be a utility project, because we are very passionate about the blockchain. And so really the intention was, how do we be a part of this ecosystem and push it forward? Our goal wasn't to just release a project and kind of do what's been happening. It's how do we innovate? Because I like to think that we are a participant in growing this ecosystem. And obviously we're in a bear market right now, but I really think as long as building keeps happening, as long as people keep pushing the envelope, we're going to bring value to the economy that we're creating. And that's a really big part of what we're trying to do, is like, why are we doing this decentralized? Why are we doing this on blockchain? Why aren't we going the traditional model? And if we bring purpose to that and we have a reason for it, that's going to push the technology forward that we're very passionate about.
I really like that. I really do. And if you could put it as simply as possible, maybe even for someone who isn't into NFTs, what is Veggiemates in a short and condensed version? What is like the maybe mission statement of Veggiemates?
So Veggiemates and Junkies are an IP under our bigger company, Virtually Made. So Virtually Made, the mission statement is to enrich the life of others through entertainment. And entertainment comes in the form of comics, animations, games, NFTs, music. And the reason that we chose blockchain as our technology versus the centralized model is you own your entertainment. So that's kind of our slogan, Virtually Made, own your entertainment. So you're not just a viewer, you're a participant in the entertainment that you're taking part in.
Right, the blockchain gives the capabilities of changing our whole sense of what ownership is. Yeah. And having digital ownership is definitely going to be a thing in the future, and we think that this is a great place to build this franchise on.
I mean, I agree. I think a lot of people also miss that. So I'm glad you guys are kind of, I mean, that's part of your slogan now. So hopefully people realize that when they come into NFTs and they see something like Veggiemates and your guys virtually made and just the whole kind of brand there, that there's a reason it's on a blockchain. There's a reason there's NFTs, and you guys actually do have a purpose and a vision, which I think a lot of NFT projects don't have, like, because there is a lot of money involved, like making money. So I think that's skipped over a lot of times, and that's also another reason I did want to talk to you guys. I wanted to have you guys on because I saw that it was more than just kind of making NFTs to make them. It seemed like you guys actually have a plan compared to most other projects.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing about how it started too, because we started with a full story, right? The Junkies versus Veggiemates. It's a whole place. It's a whole world. It's a universe. The year's 3021. All the humans are gone. All that's left is junk food and vegetables. And like the junk food lives underground. Or no, the veggies live underground. The junk food lives above ground, and they eat each other for survival. And we just were so into that idea, and then Richard, our artist, came in and brought them to life, and it just really took off. We saw storylines as we were watching the original generations just coming in front of us. So as we kept creating this project, we kept getting more inspired about what it could be, and then have been just continuously building upon that.
Yeah, and like I think that's the key is, regardless of market conditions, regardless of like floor prices and all this, our driving principle is to develop content. And our theory is, if we keep developing content, we produce things that people want, ultimately that's what drives value in the end. Because there's always going to be hype pricing and whatever. Like, we can't get caught up in that. We need to stay focused on like what are we creating. And when we started the project, one of the first questions I asked the team was, "Hey, you guys, what happens if we go into a bear market? What happens if Cardano plummets? What are we gonna do?" And we were all on the same page. Nothing different. We're gonna keep building. It's not a matter of what's the valuation today. It's like, what are we actually building? Because ultimately, those are the companies that last, is the ones that actually have some sustenance to them.
Yeah, I agree. And kind of now I kind of am thinking of another question put on the list. You don't have to answer it, but in terms of funding, are you guys pretty much all self-funded through the mints, or do you guys have people for the greens kind of token side of things? I know we'll get into greens in a little bit here, but kind of curious about investing from outside of the ecosystem and like how you guys are funded.
So, we are basically, I'm trying to think of what our lawyers won't get mad about. So we're not doing any public fundraising for our token, because that is a big red flag.
Yeah.
And we are doing full legal diligence. So we have a legal team there, very expensive. And we are going to be self-funded through our mints, and
Awesome.
we're actually reinvesting our entire mint profit back into the company, because we really do want to grow this to be something big in the long term. We're not very focused on short term, and the because we're doing things legally, because we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's, and honestly, it's slowing us down, because legal process is not fun. But we're putting ourselves in a position where we can receive investors. We can have the option to go public. We have the option to get acquired, because our paper is good in the back, right? We're not trying to do this under the radar, make some quick money and bounce out. We are very doxed. And everything that we're doing is above board, because we want to have those options, right? If we're going to build a real company, let's treat this like a real company, so that we can potentially get VC funding.
Yeah, it's just another aspect within the space where we're trying to push the barrier of what is kind of the norm or status quo, which is to not really care about legal due diligence and just go for it.
Yeah.
And we're trying to, do our part with not doing that.
Well, it does show. I realized that when I was reading the green paper, that you guys do take your time in making sure that everything's right, because ultimately, if you guys go down, because legal legal disputes or something that happens, so is the whole project, right? And also,
Right.
as you said, you have more options now in terms of other funding methods if you want.
And what's the point of building something if it's just gonna get destroyed, right? If
Yeah.
we're really building this thing and thinking 5-10 years out, we need to put the. You don't want to just build the house without building that base layer, that foundation. It all starts with the foundation, and no one sees the foundation of your house, right? So it's not sexy to do the legal due diligence. It's not sexy to push out a start date because you're making sure you're doing all these things proper. But when you look forward 5-6 years from now, that's the reason the house is still standing. And when the wind blows and a storm comes through, which houses are going to stand? The ones that are made of sticks. No offense to you with stick bricks, or is it the houses that maybe were developed with a little bit more thought put into them?
Yeah, that's true. I like that. Okay, kind of shifting gear here before we get into talking about maybe the greens paper is, what are you guys individually most passionate about working on day to day? Maybe like just, you don't have to get too specific, but things that you like focusing on from like your workload and having a lot of time to do in relation to the project.
I mean, there's so many different things that are fun. That's what's really cool about this space, is that I get to work on music. I get to work on coming up with utility. We get to work on ideation meetings where we all get together and come up with crazy background stories for these characters. Doing legal meetings that I never thought I'd be having before, and like handling myself in them. And it's really crazy how many hats you have to wear in this kind of job. And there's not seriously anything that really bothers me. That's why I really like this space a lot, 'cause it's so much fun. What's absolutely the best is just spending time on Discord with like what's becoming our family.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, for me, it is the people that gives me the most fulfillment. When we started, our core principles were to focus on mental, physical, and financial wellness, and it still is a part of us. We've broadened our mission statement, but I've had people reach out to me and say, "Hey, I really appreciate that conversation. I really appreciate that Twitter space when we had like a really deep discussion." And to me, like, that's the kind of stuff when I'm on my deathbed, I'm gonna be thinking about, is like what impact did we have on this planet, and then in addition to that, yeah, it's there. No day is the same. Every day is different. We have to wear so many freaking hats. It's crazy. What I love the most is when I look at my life and some of the skills I've built over time. Like, I've been in sales, I've been in engineering, and I freestyle. Like, I like to rap. And somehow in this world, I get to use all three of those skills. And I'm the Shillamania champion for Cardano, for those who know what that is. And and same with Big PT. Like, obviously he's a musician. He's getting to use his music skills. Our artist is getting to draw for a living. Like, it's just so cool to figure out, okay, I have all these things I've built up over time. How do I bring value to this space with my life experience? And to me, that's been one of the funnest parts of it.
Yeah, I really like that. And I'm glad you guys are both just so into it. It seems like you guys are pretty much immersed in it, like most of the day. Pretty much, that's pretty much what you're doing all day. I mean, sometimes I find it hard to get off my computer. Just like, it's very immersive in just general being in NFTs and stuff. But I'm glad you guys are at least enjoying your time sitting in your chair away from the sunlight.
Me and Big P don't shut up about decentralization in our personal lives.
I mean, that's how this started. He asked me, do you know anybody that talks about crypto as much as you? Like, actually, no.
Yeah.
I don't.
All right, now we'll ask you about what is greens. I don't know. There's a lot there. You don't have to go over everything. Maybe just how did greens come to be? What's the purpose of it in the Veggiemates ecosystem?
Yes, so the greens are going to expand into the virtually made ecosystem, so it'll go beyond the Veggiemates and Junkies IP. But it's obviously starting there because that is our first IP. We're creating an entertainment ecosystem. So like I said, it includes like comics, animations, music, and games. And the greens are going to be the currency of that ecosystem. So we have a lot of plans. A lot of we have a pretty detailed white paper, actually. We call it the greens paper. And one example of this is we're introducing this idea of a franchise pass. And so when we say own your entertainment, what does that actually mean? And the way it works is you can take your Vegemate, you can take your Junkie, and you actually get to eat a veggie, or you get to eat a Junkie. Mm-hmm. And then if a Vegemate eats a Junkie, they become a Vigilante, so they like level up into a superhero. And then if they eat more, then there's these different tiers. As a part of that, you're gonna get upgrades. So like an example of an upgrade is you're gonna get a name for your Vegemate or your Vigilante. You'll get a theme song. We have some other stuff I can't expose yet, but what it does is it opens up this world of customization, and we have visions where it's like, Christmas comes around, Halloween comes around. What if we release a trait much like they do in the video game on the Game Passes, where you get a Santa Claus hat, right? Or you get like a pumpkin head or something like that. And then you could customize and be like, oh, it's the season, let me customize my NFT a little bit. And greens is going to be the currency in which you could accommodate all that. And so that's an example of how we're folding the utility token into our ecosystem. But we're trying to make sure that the use cases that we're coming up with greens come back to our core statement of owning your entertainment. Yeah. And so like the other idea we have is making your own comic. Like we would love to create a platform where you're not just reading a comic, like you actually like get to create your comic, and then maybe you get to like put it on a marketplace and you could list it for greens, right? So we really want to create this economy within our entertainment ecosystem.
I like that. And in terms of distribution of greens, is it going to initially be for the holders of the Veggiemates and the Junkies, correct?
Correct.
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay, and then that is that coming up soon? I'm pretty sure it is, right? Or
we're set for June. So
okay, that's pretty soon.
Been our deadline. It probably would have been released a while ago had we not gone through legal process. Mm-hmm. That's what's been slowing us down the most, but long term I think it'll pay off.
Yep.
Okay. And we'll have our own staking platform as well. Oh, really? And you'll be able to stake your NFTs as well as your greens.
Oh, I think I have to get some more NFTs. Okay, so moving on from the green side of things, in terms of other projects, is there any projects out there right now, or possibly you've seen in the past, that Veggiemates you want to maybe model any of the systems after or improve upon them, to just take them to that next level?
One of the ones that I really like, there's tons of them, right? One of the ones I really like is, Bored Ape Yacht Club, and it's really just because of the way that they run their company, their business. They set it up like a legit business, with paid employees, and that's inspirational. Actually putting in the system and the structure together to run like a machine, an efficient machine like that's inspirational.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that people don't realize about Yuga Labs, is that's a big reason they're successful, because they did do that diligence. My answer to the question is kind of like yes and no. So no, because we are trying to do things different. So if you look through a lot of our plans, there's a lot of unique aspects to what we're doing, all the way up to like our storyline, our concept. I don't think you're gonna find any vegetable versus junk food concept out there anywhere in the world. I think it's pretty unique. But also like the franchise pass, some of the things that we're doing with our token. So we try to be very unique. We're not trying to follow a formula, which makes it challenging sometimes because people are used to a formula, right?
Yeah.
And we got to kind of explain to them what we're doing differently. But at the same time, I pay attention to everybody. Like if I see something else working, I try to take the best of other projects, right? So when I see a project like climbing the charts, I'm wondering, what are you guys doing? And sometimes it's a marketing approach. Sometimes there's utility there. Sometimes it's unexplainable. But a lot of times I'll reach out to the creators and just say, hey, tell me more about like what you guys are doing. So I do pull a lot of inspiration from other projects, but I don't think our roadmap is very unique. But in terms of like some of the smaller things we do, we pull a lot off of other projects. Like Paul said, we are both big into clays. That was a big inspiration for the kind of community we wanted to create, with just like a very accepting, welcoming community where we're like trying to make each other better. And a lot of that did start with Clay Nation for me.
Yeah, being big fans of sub collections within the collection. That started with Clay with us. Yeah, laser eyes.
And coming back to what you were saying about kind of not following a formula, I know a lot of projects, right? They have their 3D versions or their whatever else, like their mutants. They're kind of going about what other very successful like Bored Ape have done before, but one of the reasons I also wanted to talk to you guys is because I see you guys are doing a lot of different things. Like the franchise pass, when I saw it on Twitter, it was only like last week. I was I was kind of shocked. I was like, this is like, I excited to learn all about it because it's a completely different thing than I've ever seen before. But also, it does take away the supply from the original collections, which usually people like that, deflationary in the original collections. And there's even a lot more on your greens paper that I see that is, it is unique, as you said, and I really like that.
Yeah. And it just comes back to like, are we in this to make money and just go with the flow, or are we in this to push the envelope and develop the space so that this technology actually gets adopted? And because we're so passionate about blockchain, I would say it's a little bit riskier doing what we're doing and not following the working formula, right? But I would like to think when we execute on our plans that we're gonna be a step forward, not just a lateral move in terms of like what's already been happening.
I think you're right, and I mean, there's no risk, there's no reward, something like that. But I think that the more more risk you're going with here, the more reward there's going to be that we can get that adoption that you guys are hoping to get. And I really do hope it is going to happen, because there's a lot of people out there right now that they hate NFTs or like this pure hatred for them. But I think a lot of the ways that you guys are doing things could hopefully change that.
Yeah, and we like our goal, and it's in our greens paper, but like we just want to create entertainment that makes people laugh, that brings joy into their life, and it is going to be adult geared, but we like to think that if we could make somebody laugh, if we could bring joy into their lives, whether that's through a comic or a game or like an animation, that will pull them into this world. And the hope would be to get people who don't really care about blockchain or NFTs to watch one of our videos and get a kick out of it. And that's what leads them into getting into this world.
And that's what kind of leads us too, is making sure that everything's approachable, even from somebody that doesn't interact with blockchain constantly.
Yeah, I think that is probably the first biggest step to hurdle. Getting people over into the blockchain world is a whole nother struggle. But I mean, if there's any way to do it, it's going to be through memes or laughing or entertainment for sure. I think so, because everyone who's in crypto now is really money oriented and kind of centric around that, and having NFTs and something that's going to make them laugh is probably the only way that half the people in my life would ever even pay attention to it.
And then if we actually
culture.
Yeah. And then if we just build something that people use, then there's a reason for it to exist and continue on, and that's another goal of ours.
All right, this is kind of a big question. I don't even know how I'd answer it if it was me, but where do you see, or where do you ideally see Veggiemates sitting 3 years from now? You don't have to predict where the market's going to be sitting, just Veggiemates in general.
I think so I'll answer it with like, where do I see virtually made? I think that in 3 years from now, the Veggiemates versus Junkies will be an established IP with practical utility. I do see there being like our game's going to be released by then. Our token will it'll be in its third year of tokenomics, so it'll be put to the test in terms of like how solid the foundations of the tokenomics are, which I do feel pretty good about because we put a lot of thought into them. I can see us starting another IP by that time, and what the IP is gonna do is it's not gonna take away from the Veggiemates and Junkies. It's gonna bolster the virtually made ecosystem, which bolsters the greens. And the more value that we bring to the greens, the more value that's everything that touches the ecosystem will have. And I really do think by the third year, when we talk about this vision of owning your entertainment, it's going to be more tangible, and there are going to be layers where you really can create. Like I really want to have like a choose your own adventure kind of experience. I think it's realistic to say in when you're putting a comic together or you're reading one of our comics, right? What if the main character wasn't who we decided? You got to decide who the main character was. You got to put your vigilante as the main character of that story. That's where I want to be in the next 3 years, because to me that's something that doesn't exist, right? I mean, a good example of this is Spider-Man, where there's so many versions of Spider-Man. I don't know how many franchises Spider-Man has had, but like 5, 10, a lot in my lifetime. And why do they do that? They do that because they want to appeal to different demographics, right? And so they kind of like every Spider-Man has a little different flavor to them. But what if there was 10,000 version of Spider-Man, right? What if I got to choose what my Spider-Man was? And like that's where I want to be in the next 3 years.
Yeah, really pushing the envelope on owning your entertainment.
How about you, Big T? You got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I just see us still building upon what we're doing right now. We've been doing a lot of work to build a foundation to make sure that we're still here in 3 years. And yeah, so I don't see much changing except for maybe us growing a little bit more. And like Steve said, bringing in new IP and new ideas to the franchise. And then, of course, you know, Ada is going to be like $5. So
yeah, hopefully. Well, I guess we'll see where that goes.
And then it will go back down to 20 cents.
Yeah, sounds about right. Sounds about right. Hey, but you guys are still going to be building, so no worries.
That's it. We'll just keep building. Yeah, you just got to keep your head down and keep building.
All right, last question. I know you said you like the laser eyes for Claymates, but what is your guys' favorite Veggiemates attribute? Well, we won't go to Junkies yet. Maybe I'll have you back on and I'll ask you what your favorite Junkies attribute is. But in terms of Veggiemates, what are you guys thinking?
Do you have one?
I do, but it's the FU trait. So we got
the blurred one or the non-blurred one?
The unblurred one. Yeah.
Okay.
I just remember when we were creating it, so our artist was drawing live. It was one of the final traits we created. We started with the blurred one, and then we're like, what if you remove the blur? And then you drew like there's a little diamond hand tattoo on it, and it's my favorite. It's my favorite one because I haven't really seen that. It's not a common trait that in collections. Like we didn't take inspiration from that. We were just like, it's funny because we're a very positive community, and one of our biggest traits is a vegetable flipping you off. But like, you don't have to be bland to be positive, right?
Yeah.
And you can be a little bit fierce, and so like I do like that. It's kind of our trademark to our collections. I love the FU.
How about you?
Oh yeah.
How about you, Big T?
I really like the lightning eyes. I think they're really original. The thunder and lightning eyes, I thought Richard came up with some really original ideas there. And yeah, the lightning eyes, the way they glow, is pretty sick.
Yeah, lightning eyes are sick.
They are. I don't know. I do like the blurred FU, honestly. Like that one just hilarious.
Flipping birds.
And also everyone's just selling them for the floor, so I got some of those. I had to. All right. Anything you guys want to add? Final thoughts, final closing statements, or anything you want to add? Maybe just about veggies or what's coming.
Yeah, some details on the mint, maybe.
Yeah. So the mint on May 18th, we are doing a whitelist. So every veggie you hold is a whitelist spot, and a discount. So it's actually 33% off for whitelist spots. And then public mint is on May 19th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Um, Other than that, I mean, the biggest thing that I would love to get across is just how passionate we are for this space, but also the fact that like we are a fully doxed team, and we're not gonna go anywhere. We're doing this because we love doing this. We're not doing this for the short term gains. And I really do advise everybody, and I do this. I recommend this for any team, but like go to our website and click on our profiles and check us out. Like look at our backgrounds. We're not just hoping and crossing our fingers that we're gonna figure this thing out. It's like we actually do have backgrounds and experience that are applicable to the space. And I think that is one thing that I'm not saying that every team doesn't have that, but I do think it's one thing that stands out about us. And it's a reason we doxed ourselves, because we are proud of the experience we have. And I think that is a big part of what helps push us through a lot of the difficult times we've had. Is we have been through difficult times in our real life. And so I really do advise everybody, like, check out our website, check out our greens paper, and hopefully it comes through like how much care and how much attention we put into this project, because this really is our life passion.
Yeah, and in our Discord right now, there's an all-out war between junkies and veggies. So if you want to join the Discord and join a side, join a faction, join the war, join the fight.
Team Junkies.
Team Junkies. I think we're kind of outnumbered right now. So
I think us three are all Team Junkies. Hopefully, maybe anyone who joins the Discord from now, which will be linked down in the description, joins Team Junkie, because screw the veggies. But thank you guys so much for coming on, and I hope to have you back soon.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right.